We are right now in Facebook. So welcome to ATMA con Beatriz. ATMA, Beatriz is me, right? But ATMA means learning. ATMA is aprendiendo a transformar nuestro mundo en alternativas in Spanish. So in English is learning to transform our world in alternatives. So welcome, Barb. That's the meaning. That's the meaning of ATMA. So welcome, Barb, from Tucson, Arizona.
From Tucson, Arizona. That's where I am. Yeah.
I know. So the first question in this space is, who is Barb for Barb? So you introduce yourself.
Who is Barb? Well, the first thing is I'm a human being on the planet, you know, and I've been on it a long time. And so, you know, that's an interesting question. Who am I? You know, so often we think we introduce ourselves. Well, I'm a coach, I'm a this, I'm a that. And, you know, first and foremost, after the pandemic and after being in isolation for a year, you know, I'm not sure who I am. I know that's funny, right?
Oh, yeah.
But who I thought I was and my values and what was really important to me.
Yeah.
Over the years has changed dramatically. And some of it has become, you know, I chose the title Thriving in Difficult Times because particularly in the last 15 years, I've been through some very, very difficult times. And one of them is medical, and I have a rare chronic disorder, muscular disorder called myasthenia gravis. In the end of the bubble, we lost everything. We lost our house and everything. And then comes the pandemic. And so those three events have all happened in the last 10 years, actually.
Okay.
And I think the significance for me has been every one of them has changed who I know myself to be, which is like my identity, right? So it's interesting that you would start by asking the question, who am I? You know, and describe myself. So I think that probably the safest thing to say is that, you know, I'm really a woman who's evolving. And I think that's what we're all called to do. And it's actually an opportunity. So we can look at something as a tragedy, or we can look at it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
And so to some degree, I guess I'm fortunate in that I'm basically an optimistic person. I've always been very future oriented, which is why coaching is such a fit for me. And yet I'm really required to live in the now. So
Wonderful.
Isn't that a paradox?
It is, but it's part of life, huh? Like how an event or those three events have shown you how to learn to live more in the now. And sometimes we are so much immersed in the now and in the future. And when the things start happening around us or in our life, we focus in something that we can really be more present with our profession as a coaches, but also in our professions, in our way of living as a human beings.
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting. We adopted a rescue dog 4 years ago, almost 5 years. And the trainer, she had been dumped at the border of Mexico with 9 puppies whose eyes weren't even open yet. And they were all emaciated. They were malnourished and awful. And after this wonderful couple in Tucson fostered all of them, we adopted the mama. And So we began working with a trainer because this dog was terrified of everything. And he said to me, it's important to know that the only thing a dog has is the now.
Mm.
And I thought, so he said, you have to be in the now to be with your dog.
Wow, that's very beautiful.
He said, you want her to be running around and playing, and you want her to be
That
friends
is
with your
true.
friends. He said, that's the future. And she doesn't have that.
Yeah, that's true.
So, working with my rescue dog has been a huge lesson in being in the now.
Mm.
And I watch her, and if she gets scared or something, that fast it can be gone. As soon as that whatever scared her is gone, she's fine.
No regret.
No.
No, oh, how come I was afraid and you didn't take care of me?
None of that stuff, right?
So cute, huh?
Yeah.
We have so much to learn from dogs, and amazing. Yeah.
My father told me when my husband and I first got married, my dad said to me, he says, okay, you two, I'm going to get you a dog. Because he said, by learning to be with a dog, you're going to learn how to be parents.
That's true also.
Isn't it true?
Yeah.
So really, it's, and when I work with clients, so much of what they're worried about and their anxiety, and I, one finger pointing out there to them, 4 fingers pointing back right here.
Exactly.
The anxiety, yeah, the anxiety is about the future. And so it's what we say we are afraid is going to happen, what we think is going to happen, how we regret the past, and so we can't be present in the now.
It is amazing. I mean, I love that topic, and it's something that I really think and talk about it, that I don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. What is the need to have this anxiety if whatever I think is not exactly what is going to happen? Maybe, I guess, once in a while, but I cannot be living with that idea of I know, and that anxiety that it's a lot of effort, and we stop living the real thing that is the now, the present. The second that I'm breathing is the only second that I have. What am I going to do in that one?
Exactly.
Right?
And when I'm going to use the I.
Thank you.
So when I am in the now, then it's interesting how creative ideas can come, and my intuition is alive.
Totally.
And what's possible for my future, I couldn't even imagine while I was sitting here trying to plan it.
Totally.
And the paradox is that I still have to do some planning for my future. Right? I haven't figured out how to live just moment to moment to moment to moment. I haven't figured that out.
But that paradox that you are mentioning, like, okay, like if I'm in my present, if I'm more in my now, I will be more creative with everything, because the ideas that will come will be right in the moment. And actually, I think that when I'm creating those ideas and I'm planning from my future, from that space is without attachment.
Yeah,
it's a very different planning when I'm just planning and dreaming and the future, and in 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years, without living in the now, is with attachment. And it's a lot of suffering, a lot of frustration, because I want the things to happen the way I'm planning the things.
Really?
But I'm not living in the now.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
And I'm a control freak. But you know, when you lose everything out of no fault of your own, now granted, my husband and I made certain choices that didn't work, but we planned. So I'm thinking of our financial situation in the house, right? So we were in the bubble, right? And we were making decisions of how to invest. And then the whole thing fell apart. So you can say we made choices. Yes, we're responsible for it. And there were a lot of external forces that we didn't have any control over. Right? So then what our choice is to react and panic, which I'm not going to pretend I didn't panic. I did panic internally. I didn't know because when we have to change something that's really central to how we see ourselves, right? It's very disturbing. It's very disrupting and upsetting. So I won't say that I didn't go through a time where I was very upset, because who I knew myself to be, which is that's how I define identity, right? Was totally disrupted. Like it was gone. And so I had to find something that was more important to me than all of that. And I remember one morning where I was sitting and I was despondent. I was so upset. And the only thing that would anchor me in the now and I knew would take me into the future were my two grandchildren. And they at the time were, let's see, that was 2012.
8 years ago, 9 years ago.
That were 9 and 12 is how they were at the time. And so, you know, I knew that was a place where I could still make a difference. You know, were with these two children. And so I think when we're going through rough times, we got to have something that's so important to us that we can, it's like, hang on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because you were losing everything in those days, in 2012. I mean, everything means that the house that you were living in, you lost it.
And it was the house that we had just rebuilt. It was our dream house. We were supposed to give that off to our children, and we had actually built a suite, which was my office space.
Yeah.
We had built this suite, and that was going to be John and my part of the house while the kids lived in the rest of the house, and they were going to take care of us in our old age, right?
So you rebuild the house, and that with all the investment that requires in the United States of America, which is not,
right.
It's not a little town, huh? And after you did everything, gone. And what keep you alive and with after you get super upset, but that anchor that you got was your grandchildren, right? Okay, we lost Barb. She will come back. One second, guys. She's coming. Tick, tick, tick. Oh my God. I know that you guys speak in Spanish, and the people that will listen, they speak English. So let's wait for her. Few minutes, a few seconds. If she doesn't come back, because sometimes Wi-Fi internet is like that, we will do it again. I want to talk with her. She's coming, I think. Let's see. Just be patient. If you are listening, just give me 1 second. I don't want to say who's here. Rodrigo, you'll say yes. I know that you speak Spanish, but I need to continue with this in English. Thank you for being here. If Barbara doesn't come in 5 minutes, I will cut it and I will do it again later or tomorrow with her, okay? Mhm. Wi-Fi sometimes is like this. So this is the now that we were talking about. She lost everything. Her internet is down, so I maybe have to reorganize the call with her. So thank you for being here, and I will check with her in another moment because I want to continue this conversation. And of course, this is part one, Barb Eisele. So I will check with her and we will continue our conversation later today, tomorrow, or before Sunday, we will try. So thank you if you were connected here. Bye. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. I know a little bit of the story of Barb, but I do prefer that she tells. She said that she's maybe coming back. Let me check with her if she wants me to do it in. Okay, she says that she is reconnecting. So we will do it now. We will continue. It's amazing, huh? Sometimes we have the idea of what we want for our future, as she said that she was going to leave the house for the grandchildren, the children, and everything. And suddenly they lost everything. So they will tell us. She's going to tell us a story if she comes back. Ding, ding, ding. She's here. Hello.
Oh, isn't technology just the greatest?
The greatest now. So I was waiting for you, and it's okay if people were there. I mean, I was like, okay, guys, if she doesn't come back, we will do part one, part two. But then you say, wait a minute. So we were saying something, and suddenly I saw you like frozen. And it was about that you were having this house in 2012, and suddenly something happened, and it was like a gone, but you didn't tell us what happened. What do you want to share here in this space? You don't have to tell us whatever you don't want to say. Yeah.
Well, what I wanted to share is that when we lose that much, we lose who we think we are and how we see ourselves. So it's, I call that my identity, right? Who I know myself to be is what I call my identity, right? So when you don't know who you are and you built up, so one example, right, is that as a coach, I made the assumption, the assessment that I should have it all figured out how to do this. This shouldn't be happening to me. How could I coach when I've just had a big failure?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a real, that's an example, right? So I had to get over myself because I needed to work. Right? So when that happens, and it happens for all kinds of reasons for people, how they live their life changes dramatically for people. And because I've been through that, I feel as if I can be with people while they, you feel like a fish out of water.
Of
You know,
course.
that the
That you
metaphor.
will die. You are out of your space, out of your environment.
Absolutely feel like you're going to die, right? And often it's at a time when you can't afford to just give up. And fortunately, I've never been a person who gives up. I've been down, like then I was down, but I didn't give up. And so for me, it was a matter of, and here's the other thing, I could never have gotten through it alone. When we're going through tough times, some people try and withdraw and do it themselves.
Yeah, no, that's not good.
You can't do it that way. Friends and family, my family was amazing. I remember my daughter was doing Mary Kay at the time. And she showed up with a full facial system for me.
Wow.
And she said, "Here, Mom, this is for you to take care of yourself." And I'm still moved when I think about that. How sweet that was of her to think, I'm going to give my mom this. Because it's the time, that's not where I would have chosen to spend my money,
Of course.
So, I think that thriving in tough times takes community. It takes, and I think that's one of the things that's made the pandemic so hard, is that we're isolated from each other. We don't have human touch. Yes, we've got Zoom, as well as anybody. Look at you, you're in Mexico.
Yeah.
That's where you plan to be.
No.
Right?
You know me. No, I normally in Asia. But
Yes.
for me, in my case, in this pandemic, I have grown a lot. I have reorganized my exercise. I have lost weight. I have created a big team in many places with the project that I am with the essential oils that I told you. I'm talking with many people. I'm opening myself to many other experiences that I thought were not possible. So I have been in one place that have been giving me the opportunity to see things that when I'm moving from one place to another, not. But I understand what you mean, that the personal and human contact, we are not having that. And I think we are forgetting what used to be. We are saying that, yeah, I send you a hug, I send you a kiss, I send you this and that, but the sensation is not the same. And we are getting accustomed to think that because we are getting a message, we are getting what we are saying, and we are not getting that. So exactly. Humanity, we are changing in the way we are relating to each other, in a way.
Yeah, and I think, yes, I think you're absolutely right. I think the other thing, Beatriz, because I know you, is that you and I are very fortunate that we're kind of proactive kind of women. We're go-getters, right? And I think that makes it easier for us in some ways than for people who don't have that kind of personality.
Yeah.
And I think, so I really consider myself to be very fortunate.
Yeah, of course. So do I.
In so many ways, I'm so fortunate.
Yeah, I get a little bit desperate when it's like when I see that people can do something and just thinking, and I'm like, yeah, thinking is nice, but what is the action? What is the action that is coming with that thinking that then, the things will get done? Because thinking is not enough. And sometimes when we are just following and not really acting, is those people really believe that they are doing something just by thinking.
Thinking and planning is the first step, remember?
Yeah, but the thinking and planning, and then thinking and planning, and then thinking and planning, and then thinking and planning. The first step is the first step.
That's true. And then, but as a coach, both you and I then, is really helping people to see what like a small first step is.
Yeah.
And I say small, but it doesn't mean that it's insignificant, because I'm always very careful about that.
Yeah.
Because So often people have really big dreams, and if they really tried to step into it, first of all, they'd get so terrified they turn around and back up. And second of all, sometimes you have to take the first small step and see what's going to show up after that, because we don't know.
Yeah.
It's an organic process, you know. A lot of cases, it goes back to that whole thing about if I plan too much and think I have
Exactly.
to have it all laid out first.
In
I'll
Spanish,
never
it says analysis plus analysis creates paralysis.
Yeah, that sounds like English to me.
Yeah, I see English, but I'm translating analysis
Oh,
and
I see you're
analysis
translating. Okay, thank
paralysis. Well,
Oh,
I
I
think
think
maybe
you're
it's the phrase also in English. I don't know. But Barb, well, I something that I didn't say. I met Barb. We met when when I started working in Singapore, because Barb is one of the mentor coaches in the program that I'm working as a somatic trainer. And I have brought primal dance to the program in a way, because it's not something within the program, but the students have the opportunity to practice primal dance once every time we have a conference. And we met because Bob is also one of the mentor coaches there, and we are mentor coaches in the health and wellness coaching program. And she is already, you by profession, you are a nurse. You knew a lot of things of that. By profession, you have medical thing, huh?
Well, this is my fourth profession.
Yeah, but how many professions you have? Oh my God.
4 so far. I don't know how many more, but 4
Okay. What is nurse is one.
that was my first one.
Okay, and then?
And I'll tell you a little story about that in a minute. But my first one was as a nurse. My second one was a health educator, and I was a health educator for 10 years in a health maintenance organization and insurance, prepaid health here in Tucson.
Yeah.
And I did that for 10 years. And then I was very frustrated because we weren't having success long-term with people making behavior change.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided that coaching was not yet out there.
Okay.
And so I decided that if I became a therapist and I understood the psychology, then that would work, right? Then I could help people better. But while I was in my master's program, which I did finish, I was introduced to the Landmark Forum.
Okay.
And in the Landmark Forum, I was introduced to ontological learning, which is the kind of coaching that I then did. So I became a therapist. I had spent 2.5 years and $10,000. And then I said, that's not it.
Yeah, sometimes it happens. I'm not going to tell you how much I pay for my MBA that I'm not using.
No. And so then I started coaching, and I started coaching with a group that was using the work of the Landmark Forum. They were licensed to do that.
Okay.
And then in 2001, I left them and I went to Newfield, or the coach partner, what's called the Coach Partnership in Singapore, and it's called Newfield Network here in the US.
Yes.
And I became a coach, and I've never looked back.
In 2001, that was your first,
I went through the Newfield program in 2002.
2002. Okay.
Yeah, so I've been almost 20 years.
Oh my God, yes. A lot.
Oh, anyway.
I did it in 2008 or 2009. Yeah, it's also 11 years in Colombia.
The US? You did
no, in Colombia. No, Colombia.
Oh,
in Spanish. Yeah.
You did in Spanish?
Yeah, of course. I speak Spanish.
Well, Newfield started in Chile, so.
Yeah, Newfield started in Chile and then went to the States and Colombia and then Peru, Mexico.
Yeah. I'm thrilled. I am so thrilled that it is multinational and multilingual, because so an really important part of the work that you and I do really helps people look at how do they see the world, because we think we see the world like it is, but we really see the world like we are.
Exactly. I love that. I love that distinction. We see what we see the way we are. And sometimes we think that the way we are is the way the world is. And no, it's our perception. It's the observer that we are, right?
Exactly. And,
Mm.
you know, we go back to what I talked about, you know, losing my house and all of that. That was really, you know, I saw the world and I felt despondent, right? Because of the way I thought the world was, but that's not the way the world was.
Mm.
I didn't see at the beginning when that first happened and I was so upset, I didn't see possibilities for myself. That doesn't mean the possibilities weren't there. I just didn't see them.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so, and so that's why I am so thrilled that this work is happening all over the world.
It's
And
amazing.
I am so privileged to be a mentor coach in both the US and in Singapore. And Beatriz made reference to we met in the coach partnership program. And what's so great is that we got to be together and hug just before the pandemic.
Yeah.
I traveled to Singapore and she was there. And you know what I realized was that we came back through Guangzhou, China at the end of November of
Wow.
2019. And that's, you know, I mean, I mean, I sit and I say, so I've got chills right now. I say,
Wow.
that was going to Singapore was life-changing for me, right? I've always said that when I get to travel like that, and I know this about you, I become a world citizen and a far better human being.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I think of how that was kind of like just in the nick of time, because I think about going back to Singapore and I think, when am I going to be able to do that?
I don't know when I'm going to be able to do that because the conference now is going to be online now. I mean, this year.
Well, yeah, and right now, you know, even now they're very strict, and that's why they've done so well. Right now, you have to go to a hotel and spend 2 weeks in quarantine under their eyes, right?
Yeah, it's amazing how the difference. I mean, we are going back to your story, but now that we are mentioning from whoever listened this is like in Singapore, if you arrive in Singapore, you have to stay in a hotel that the government will tell you you have to pay your hotel, which is very expensive, more
Right?
than $3,000.
Yeah.
And for 15 days, they will see you and observe and make all the tests. And if they decide, you can put 1 feet out of the hotel and be in the city. Thank you. And if not, you have to go back to your country. So today I was talking with one person that lives in Singapore in the morning. And I was telling her that people in Mexico have passed away. And she was like, really? Passing away about this? And I was like, yeah, my cousin passed away last week. Friends of mine also. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
thank you very much. Thank you. And it's and there are countries like Singapore that they have doing so well, that they have been taking care, that they have been following the rules, that they are okay, everyone, and it's something that is not it's like a bubble. But going back to your topic and to yourself and to your
And just to finish
person.
that one, look at the US. Don't tread on my freedom. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, but
Whole
the
different,
topic,
you know,
US topic is
different
not a topic.
observers.
We
But-
need like 5 days to talk about what is going on in the States.
Oh, no.
So let's talk about your life.
About the future of the United States.
Yeah, it's gonna be fine. New era,
Here's
new momentum.
the point going back to our coaching.
Yeah.
If you look at the way different countries have handled this, it has to do with people's perceptions and their expectations.
Yes.
And it also has to do, I mean, you in Mexico, maybe not as much, but almost as much, you know, we have huge freedom that, for instance, in Singapore, they don't.
That's true. There are things that are, yeah, there are pro and cons. It's like, it's not that everything is like super, in our perspective, right? From them is perfect. But from me, like how my father couldn't tell me what to do. Now the government, and you follow the rules. And I was like, I do remember always something that, and I always say this, that I was once walking with one of the students from the program towards my hotel. And we were walking in the financial district and we were going to cross the street, but it was a red light. And I was going to cross, no cars at all, because the financial district, no cars at 1 a.m. in the morning. And I was going to cross the street and she was like, no. And I was like, why? Because it's red. And I was like, but there's no cars. We can cross. No, 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 no. You cannot cross. It's red. And I was like, yeah, but the next car will come tomorrow at 8 a.m. in the morning. She was like, yeah, but it's red. And we didn't cross. And I always tell her this story. And she's like, yeah, and we cannot cross still now. And I'm like, yeah, it's a different perspective. It's when there is this rules and regulations in some places and how you follow them according to your culture, it's a very established.
Well, here's the other interesting thing that you bring up, and that one of the reasons that I love working with people internationally is because the culture we grew up in is completely blind to us.
Yeah.
It's transparent what we learned.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we don't know what that is. And so it's really interesting to be able to meet people and ask them like you do. So, like use the red light thing. So say to her, so look, no cars are coming. Why can't we cross?
Yeah.
Like, where did you learn that you couldn't cross? If there were no cars coming, it's 1 a.m. and the light's red. Where'd you learn?
Well, it's a different perspective, as you said. But within the same country, like for example, in Mexico, that is a huge country. The culture in the north of Mexico, it's different from the culture in the south of Mexico.
Yes.
And I see my friends, I'm in the border. You are from Tucson, I'm from Sonora, which is the borderline with Arizona. I was born in Hermosillo. And the culture that we have in the north of Mexico, which is the south of the States, it is very different from the culture that in Mexico City that I am right now. So I have friends that I'm like, the behavior, like, what do you mean? Why? We are different within the same country. Now, when we go to another country, it's a very different. And we have to learn how to co-create and have conversations, understanding that the differences will be there, no matter what,
Right.
Well,
that's true. And that says a lot of how we have to get along in the world today. Because, and I think that the pandemic has shown us that, we are a world, we're a world citizens. Because unless, just take the pandemic, unless we get the pandemic under control in the world, we aren't going to have, we aren't going to be free to travel. We aren't going to have life back. And I hate to say back to normal, because I'm really hoping that we will create a kinder, more inclusive world.
Yeah, me too.
That's really based on love and values instead of just who can get ahead the fastest.
Yeah.
And the whole, having been a nurse, because we talked about the fact that I was a nurse, my first love, by the way, was I really wanted to be a doctor. My dad was a doctor, and I loved the human body, and I was in awe. And from the time I was old enough to know that my dad was a surgeon, I wanted to watch an operation. I wanted to see inside the human body. It wasn't good enough to see the outside, right?
Yeah.
So when I was 16 years old, he had to do an emergency appendix one Sunday night.
Yeah.
And it was the wife of somebody that we all knew. We lived in a very small town in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
Okay.
And so we all knew each other, right? And so he asked the family, this would have been we won't go there. But it was a long time ago. So he asked the family if I could come in and watch. And they got a separate scrub nurse to be just available for me, because nobody knew if I was going to pass out or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I got to watch an appendix be removed.
Oh my God. Oh.
And
I love it, but I cannot see blood. If I see blood, I felt.
Oh. Well, anyway, it was like I was in awe that I got to see inside the human body. There really is stuff in there.
Of course. Oh my God. You know who's doing Dr. Ben You remember Dr. Ben, our
Yeah.
student? Okay, Dr. Ben from Singapore. I interviewed him, and he's doing the liver or kidney operation, and he's doing the kidney operation with a computer, super
Robot.
sophisticated system, like doing something here, and the patient is there, like 2 meters from him, and he
The
sent me the
robot.
video.
The robot.
Yeah, the robot, but he's managing the robot, and he said that it's super precise and this, and I was like, how can you be doing like something here without seeing the person? And the
When they
person
took
is
my
just there.
gallbladder out, they used the robot on me.
Oh my God, no.
And they did it through my belly button. And I have a 1-inch scar, 1 inch in my belly button. That's it. And they removed my gallbladder.
Wow.
And the
I'm super
doctor,
impressed with those kind of things that exist nowadays. I mean, it's like a future, it's something, it's too big for my head.
I know. So, all of this is really talking about what's possible, right? Somebody had to see that operating from a computer right here with a patient over there, and what you're doing is you're manipulating a robot.
Yeah.
Right? You know what my doctor told me? She said, I could see this when I was a little girl, and it hadn't happened yet. So she is the same age as my daughter. She graduated from high school with my daughter. My surgeon for my gallbladder graduated from high school with my daughter, right? Now get wrapped around that, right? And she said, I knew it was possible when I was very young. And I said to her, Katie, so, if somebody had, and somebody clearly before her, and she didn't invent it, right? But she uses it. She said, I can do better work with a robot than I can with my hand.
That's true.
Robot is more precise than my hand, right? Talk about giving up control.
Oh my God, it's like so many, I mean, for me, it's really too much for my head. I remember one of the first times that I went to Disneyland, because I was living in Mexicali in the borderline with California when I was in elementary school. And when I went there, it was this big building about the future. And it was cell phones, was one of the exhibitions. I was 7 years old. And it was an explanation that a phone, because the phone in my house was like this round thing that I have to, like that. I mean, I have to dial it. And then when it was not buttons. So I was like, how? Yeah, and you will talk with someone that is in another place and you can move. And I was like, without the cord, how come? And I was like, explain me, So it was like the future, part of the exhibition, that future that is now our present.
Well, yes, that's right. And my first telephone was an operator. I picked up the phone and it went to a person. And my first phone number was 56. And here's a little funny. My grandparents lived in the same town. And our town was so small, I'd pick up the phone and I'd say, I want to talk to my grandpa. No. And they connect me to my grandpa. So, maybe
it was your neighbor and you didn't know that you could go again.
You talk about a future, right?
Yeah.
And so, I guess, and here we are, talking about the future, but then we have to live in the now.
Barb, now that you are going back to that living in the now, what it could be your advice to people that could be listening to us and our students in Singapore? Because I want to share this also with our alumni there. That how do a person like you that with the dreams that you were already with your family, you're already with your grandchildren, you were in that stage of your life. You were not starting your marriage, you were in the established marriage, and with everything like, okay, this is my heritage and this is what I want to leave to my family, this is my things, huh? And this health thing came, and then the losing that, and then many other issues till now, that is a pandemic. But the pandemic is a new thing, is that there's last year. What I mean is like something that was in your future, in your mind, in your dreams to give to your family, and suddenly something happened. And whatever, if you were in the decision making process was also there, but we're not talking about it was a good decision or bad decision. Is that the fact is that you lost it, and then you start again. And now after those years have passed and you have been working all these years, what is the advice that you can give to people that is either losing something very important or about to lose something that they are attached and they don't want to lose because it's my thing? What you can tell them?
Geez, you want my magic wand, huh?
Mm.
Well, I think so. I wish I had an answer and a formula, but I think one thing is to stop, stop thinking. That's not possible, but recognize what you're thinking. All right. And recognize that it isn't the truth. It's only one possibility. So the way I saw my future was only one possibility, even though I thought it was the one I wanted. But I think the other thing is that knowing that there is, first of all, knowing that we are resourceful individuals.
That's a beautiful.
We are resourceful far, far beyond what we ever know.
Yes, I agree totally.
So, first of all, that grounds me in the right now. I'm resourceful, right?
Mm.
What do I need right now? So, really, it's coming back to the right now. What do I need right now? Well, right now, maybe I need to go drink some water,
Mm.
or maybe I need to go for a walk around the block, or maybe I need to call my girlfriend,
Mm.
right? But it really does involve slowing down, because the more we get into that fear and anxiety pattern, the more it keeps going around and around and around, and we end up spinning. And then that's all we see, and that's all we can, we get caught in that. I've been there. That's why I can say this so clearly. And then I think it is, to know that as a resourceful person, I can do something about this. I can do something else,
Yeah, I
right? Because
love.
we can, and then we lost our house. And of course, then in the United States, because we had a foreclosure, we couldn't buy another house. Oh, we didn't have the money to buy another house anyway.
Mm.
And so, you think, well, they're going to want my credit history, and that stinks right now. And now we're going to. And then we found a landlord, and we explained what was happening. So we said, you need to check our credit, but it's going to be crappy. And we've been homeowners for 40 plus years. So we knew how to take care of a house.
Mm.
And we promised we will take care of this house just as if it was ours, because it is ours, because we're living here.
Mm.
And they said, fine. We ended up in a very nice house in the same neighborhood that we had moved into when we first moved to Tucson 30 years before that.
Wow, so beautiful. Closing
Three
the
streets,
cycle.
three streets away,
Mm.
right? And we had this beautiful view. We had this nice house. So it's, stuff will show up to support you, And for me, the secret of that is that we have to stop the spinning, because if we're spinning, we can't see any possibilities. We can't,
Yeah.
I couldn't see the possibility of going to somebody and laying out exactly what had happened and asking them to rent to us anyway.
Mm.
And Jen and I looked at each other when we finally got to that possibility and said, well, the worst they can say is no.
Exactly. The no, I know the no. Let's go find out if that no also has a yes.
That's right. That's right.
Mm.
So, you know, it was kind of like, so my first advice is everybody should just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, come right here. And that's when the creativity, the miracles, the serendipity, the synchrony can start showing up. So we are now 8 years past that, almost 9 years. It'll be 9 years this fall that we're past that. And I have to tell you, I think I'm a better human being,
Mm.
more compassionate. I'm way more grateful. You know, and then I actually got sick 4 years after that with myasthenia. And then there was another one to deal with. So, but I'm a better human being for all of this,
Mm.
you know? And I think the other thing is sometimes you need a coach, sometimes you need a therapist, sometimes you need something. I always know we need friends,
Yeah.
you know? So that's
So
what I think.
yeah, so beautiful, because that was you say like that, things will happen. How I relate with the things that are happening in my life is my choice. And if I catch
Exactly.
myself like I'm spinning within fear and anxiety, and I'm doing or not doing because of, if I'm thinking and doing because I will do it for creating happiness or creating whatever. If I have the intention will not be my creation. Things will happen with me or without me. How I relate with the things, it's my choice. Where I'm alive, how I live the opportunities that I have is my choice. But it's not my choice to say how you will live your opportunities.
Right.
My choice is to accept and adapt also when we are having a conversation that you are another you and I'm another me. We are both different and at the same time, the same thing. We are humans.
That's right. That's right. And you used a word that I didn't use, but it's really accepting. You know, the Buddhists say that suffering is not accepting what's so. Byron Katie is another one that they talk about, that, you know, being with what's so ends suffering.
Yeah. Flow with the flow.
So with
And
law,
flow with the flow. And if it in Spanish we say, I tell you in Spanish because I let me translate. Si la vida te da limones, haz limonada. If the life gives you lemons, make
make
lemonade.
lemonade. You got it. So we
But the
can
thing is,
do.
when we have the attachment, right? That I have to, no, then we have this paralysis that we don't have to anything. We want to. It's a will. It's intelligence in the will involved, and going in one direction or going in another direction. The problem is when one human being wants to go in both directions at the same time. That's the problem. We have to choose this
But
or this.
that's the paradox, though, that we have to live in.
Yeah.
And we can. That's the beauty of being a human being. If we're mindful, we can. We can be in the now and see a future, just not be attached to it.
So beautiful. I love the idea of having a dog, but I don't have space to have a dog. And the aunt that I'm living with, she said, not even a fish she wants, not even nothing, no animals. Yeah, I said, but a little bit. No, not in this house.
Well,
Said,
come to Tucson because I now have 2 dogs.
hey, I have to go to Tucson, and I tell you now publicly, I raised in Hermosillo, Sonora, and I never went to Tucson. All my friends were going to the mall in Tucson, buying their clothes. Yeah, I know. But I never went. I know my father didn't like to go shopping, so he never, I didn't go. I have never been in Tucson, Arizona. So
Well,
close.
my neighbor lives in Hermosillo and Tucson. She part of her time each place.
Maybe I know her. Let me know after. Don't tell me publicly because this is recording. So you tell me after, maybe I know the person. So I want to start closing this space. And I, first of all, to thank you for opening your heart in this space and accepting to have this conversation, that to know you better. I love when I met John in Singapore, so, and he was also practicing primal dance, and I love to see him there. Yeah, it was a great experience
Well,
to
primal dance
meet
is
you in
the
person.
best. I loved primal dance.
Me too.
Oh, yes.
We have to organize with the mentor coaches. I will talk with Tini and find out if we can do something.
Oh, yeah, please.
Soon. Yeah, I will do that. And well, to just my words, just to thank you for the space. Thank you for your words. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for all the conversations that we have. I feel you so close. Like if I see you super often, and I know that in person, we have met once, but my sensation is that we have met many times in a way, and our conversations have always been like beautiful. So thank you for being in ATMA.
Thank you,
And
my friend.
I will give you
you.
now the word, the space, so you close the space. You open and you close.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Beatriz. I love you. And I just have a real passion for life. I love life. And even, it's got bumps. We can't get rid of the bumps. They're just part of life.
Mm.
And so, like you say, I can't control what happens, but I can control how I respond to what happens. So I love you, my friend.
I love you too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you next time. And thank you everyone that were here. Thank you, Bob. Say hi to John. Bye-bye.
Bye.